Exploring life on a farm can be exhausting, but it also holds fascinating surprises. While working the land, it's often possible to stumble upon intriguing objects and even relics from the past. In today's video, we've gathered an impressive collection of the most unusual finds discovered by farmers. We hope you enjoy it. But before we begin, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel for more content like this. 1. The Templar Cave. In 2017, an English photographer named Michael Scott felt like a character in Alice in Wonderland. While walking through a plantation, he noticed a rabbit hole and decided to explore it. However, unlike Alice, he didn't end up in Wonderland but instead discovered a Templar cave. When Michael made this sensational discovery, he didn't immediately know what the cave was. He reported the finding to scientists, who explained that he wasn't the first to stumble upon the site. Archaeologists had known about it for a long time, but kept it a secret to avoid attracting too much attention. The cave, or rather, the network of tunnels, was built 700 years ago by the Knights Templar, a knightly order also known as the Poor Fellow Soldiers of Christ, founded in 1119 after the First Crusade by several knights led by Hugues de Payens. The primary purpose of the order was to protect pilgrims traveling to the Holy Land, though the Templars also defended the Crusader states in the East. Additionally, the order enjoyed numerous religious and legal privileges. In the early 14th century, the Templars' fortune took a drastic turn. The knights faced arrests and executions, and in 1312, the order was dissolved. This tragic ending gave rise to many legends and conspiracy theories about the Templars. According to one theory, the Templars who escaped took the Holy Grail and hid it in caves. Some believe their descendants and followers continue to uphold the principles of the ancient order and meet in secret to this day. 2. The Four-Legged Chicken. In 2023, a farmer named Jess Leeming from Queensland, Australia, discovered that one of her chickens was being attacked by the others. At first, she didn't understand why, so she decided to observe it more closely. When she caught the chicken, she immediately noticed the problem. The bird had 4 legs instead of 2. Jess was shocked by what she saw and took the chicken to the vet. The vet explained that the chicken suffered from polymelia, a rare congenital defect in birds. While this condition doesn't generally affect the animal's life, it can cause issues with other chickens. The problem lies in the fact that chickens tend to notice individuals with unusual features and reject them from their group, often pecking them to death, primarily targeting the spine. Jess Leeming's chicken faced the same fate. It had a deep wound on its back. To save its life, Jess initially separated it from the group and later decided to find it a new home without other chickens. 3. Artillery Crater. During military exercises, unforeseen circumstances sometimes cause ammunition to end up far from its intended target. One such incident occurred in Wiltshire, England. A farmer named Andrew Snook was working in his field as usual when he discovered a crater more than 5 feet wide. Inside the hole, he found a shell that was later revealed to have been fired from a high-caliber AS-90 artillery piece during military exercises on Salisbury Plain, several miles away. An error in the firing caused the shell to veer off course by about 5 miles. As a result, the projectile flew over the busy A342 road and the village of Churton, landing in a field just 820 feet from the Paddington-Penzance railway line, used daily by thousands of passengers. Needless to say, this error could have caused a terrible tragedy. Fortunately, the shell landed in a safe area, albeit on private property. Following an investigation, the farmer, Andrew Snook, received compensation for the damages. 4. The destruction of 3,500 watermelons. Farming may seem like simple, peaceful work, but it actually requires enormous effort, and any problem can severely impact a farmer's motivation. Similarly, a good harvest can spark envy in those less successful. In 2015, a Chinese farmer faced a horrifying situation. He had been growing watermelons for many years with great results, but one day, upon arriving at his plantation, he discovered that all his watermelons had been destroyed. At first, he thought it might have been caused by temperature fluctuations, but this wasn't the case. He saw that each watermelon had perfect cuts, as if someone had intentionally sliced them with a sickle or knife. This situation was a heavy blow for the farmer. Growing watermelons requires immense effort, from soil preparation and seed planting to ensuring proper irrigation and pest control during the first month. When an entire harvest of more than 3,500 watermelons is lost, as happened to this farmer, it leads not only to significant demotivation, but also to substantial financial losses. Devastated, the farmer reported the incident to the police, but the culprits were never found. Despite everything, he didn't give up and continued growing watermelons. 5. A chilling sight. Australian farmers are accustomed to encountering various species of wildlife, some of which can reach impressive sizes. However, farmer Patrick Hatton, despite his experience, was stunned when he found a large group of enormous huntsman spiders on a concrete structure on his land. Take a look at what a terrifying sight he encountered. I believe many of you wouldn't dare take a single step closer to these spiders, but the farmer decided they didn't belong there, and that the group needed to be removed. First, however, he wanted to record the spiders to show people in other countries the kinds of things Australian farmers sometimes have to deal with. The huntsman spider is a common species in Australia. In this region, they grow larger than elsewhere, reaching up to 6 inches in size. Unlike most other spiders, huntsmen don't weave webs or build nests. They spend almost all their time living a nomadic lifestyle, staying in one place only during mating season. Interestingly, these spiders can hunt not only on land but also underwater, thanks to the fine hairs on their bodies. However, they can only stay underwater for a short time, as they need oxygen. Occasionally, huntsman spiders live in groups. It was precisely one of these groups that the Australian farmer encountered. 6. The 19th century tunnel. Farmer Gary Machins and his wife, Beth, purchased a house in Alton, Illinois, built in the 1890s. Soon after, Gary noticed that the sidewalk leading to their home was sinking. Naturally, he decided to repair it, but as he carefully removed the stones to start the work, he accidentally uncovered a mysterious tunnel. Gary ventured into the underground structure and found it to be quite spacious. The tunnel appeared to be about 10 feet high and wide and at least 60 feet long, though it could extend further, as collapsed soil made it difficult to determine its full length. The purpose of the tunnel remains unknown. It might have served as a storage area for goods or as a stable. There's also a theory suggesting it could have been part of the Underground Railroad. Intrigued by the story behind his unusual discovery, Gary reached out to the local historical association, where he learned that there are other similar structures in Alton. Experts believe this tunnel might have been excavated around 1840. Gary decided to clean and restore the tunnel, planning to open it for visitors in the future. Perhaps tourists or local residents will be interested in exploring this 19th century underground structure. 7. The Corn Cob House. Sometimes, farmers amaze not only with impressive harvests, but also with creative projects. In 2017, a farmer named Liu Hongkai from Erhe Village, Jilin Province, China, stunned the world with his unique creation. In just 2 weeks, he built a complex of structures using corn cobs as the main building material. Previously, Liu had built a similar structure also made of corn cobs, which drew significant attention from the media and tourists. This initial success inspired him to continue his unique hobby. This time, he decided to showcase a traditional northern Chinese home. Although Liu personally constructed the structure, he sought the help of a designer and planner during the initial phase to create the complex, which includes a small cottage, a fence, a water wheel, and a barn. He used more than 30,000 corn cobs and spent 10,000 yuan, a little over $1,300 USD. Despite the cost, Liu claimed the complex turned out beautifully, exactly as he had envisioned. And it is indeed dazzling and one of a kind. The Lost Calf. When pets go missing, it's always heartbreaking, but it's even worse when young animals are lost, as they have little chance of survival without their mother or human help. This was exactly what happened to a British farmer named Jonathan Crump. He had recently opened his own cheese factory and purchased a rare Gloucester cow to produce high-quality cheese with fresh milk. When his cow gave birth, Jonathan was overjoyed, but his happiness was short-lived. One evening after grazing, the cow returned alone without her calf. Jonathan thought it was pointless to search in the dark, so he decided to wait until morning. Unfortunately, he couldn't find the calf and assumed it had been attacked by wild animals. However, 9 days after its disappearance, 2 strangers arrived at his home saying they had found a calf in a hole. Jonathan rushed to the site and immediately recognized his calf. With the help of the 2 men, he carefully lifted it out of the hole and brought it home. The calf was dehydrated and hungry, but its life was no longer in danger. The rescuers were 2 homeless men named Dan Rawlings and Tom Lewis. Grateful for their kindness, Jonathan thanked them with fresh cheese, milk, and other products. 9. The hieroglyphic tablet of a lost kingdom. In 2023, a Turkish farmer accidentally discovered a strange stone tablet on his land with hieroglyphs carved in an ancient language. Realizing he had uncovered a very old historical artifact, the farmer immediately reported it to archaeologists. When specialists arrived, they determined that the hieroglyphs were written in Luwian, one of the oldest Indo-European languages, originating from ancient Turkey. The inscription on the stone described a victory by an unknown kingdom over the legendary Phrygian king Midas in the 7th century BCE. One of the hieroglyphs indicated that the inscription was left by a king from a lost civilization named Muxus. Interestingly, this name had appeared in other ancient artifacts, but historians had no information about who this person was. Thanks to this accidental discovery, researchers not only found an answer, but also learned about a previously unknown kingdom. Historians speculate that this lost kingdom existed between the 9th and 7th centuries BCE, covering about 300 acres. The name of the kingdom remains unknown, but its capital was likely located at the current archaeological site of Turkmen Karahoyuk. It's possible that more artifacts in the region could reveal the history of this kingdom. 10. Millions of rats. The year 2021 turned into a true nightmare for Australian farmers. First, they had to deal with the aftermath of droughts and wildfires, but nothing was as terrifying as the rat plague that followed. For several months, millions of rodents invaded homes and destroyed entire crops. There were so many mice that, according to farmers, it was impossible to step outside because they would crawl under your clothes if you stood still for even a moment. Meanwhile, getting rid of them seemed impossible. Farmers tried poison, traps, and even controlled flooding, but nothing worked. Their numbers kept growing every day. In Australia, there is an average of 50 mice per acre, but during an infestation, the population can multiply thousands of times. In search of food, the rodents migrate to populated areas and farms, leading to a massive increase in their numbers in these regions. In some places, there were hundreds of thousands, and sometimes even millions of mice. Farmers suffered the most from the infestation, experiencing huge losses as the rodents destroyed between 80% and 100% of the crops on some plantations. To make matters worse, there was an increase in rat bites, leading to many people falling ill from dangerous diseases transmitted by these rodents. Some farmers considered abandoning their farms. Fortunately, the plague ended shortly after, and the government offered financial aid to affected families to help them recover their crops. 11. The smiling calf. Australian farmers Megan and Barry Coster have been raising cattle for over 20 years. Their herd currently consists of more than 700 head of cattle. Occasionally, calves are born with very unusual markings that give them a unique appearance. In 2023, the Costers found a particularly special calf among their newborns. Its unique feature was 3 spots on its side that together formed a smiling face. The farmers were amazed by this genetic marvel and named the calf Happy. Initially, they planned to keep it. However, news of the unusual calf quickly spread across Australia, and both journalists and curious visitors began flocking to the farm to see it. The farmers didn't appreciate the sudden attention, as their cattle were accustomed to a peaceful life, and the constant influx of visitors made them anxious. For this reason, the couple decided to sell the calf. A new owner purchased Happy for $10,000. Interestingly, the Costers did not keep the money, but donated it to West Gippsland Hospital. As for the calf, it is thriving with its new owners and has already become the symbol of the Victoria Farmers International Exhibition. 12. A sinister discovery. In 2023, a Texas farmer noticed a strange mound of dirt on his property that hadn't been there before. Curious about its appearance, he decided to investigate. Armed with a shovel, he began to dig, and suddenly a terrifying creature leapt out of the hole, something unlike any known animal. According to the farmer, the creature looked like a true monster. Its head was disproportionately large, and its face appeared to be a mix between a calf and a dog. Its body was somewhat humanoid, but covered in patches of coarse black hair, and it moved on 4 legs. The farmer shared his strange find online, hoping to discover what he had encountered. Most people agreed it was a chupacabra, a legendary creature that apparently chose an unfortunate spot to dig its den. unaware it was on human property. The chupacabra is a mythical animal whose existence has never been proven. According to legend, it avoids contact with humans, but loves to hunt domestic animals. 13. The octopus piglet. An elderly farmer named Tang Yongshu from Chongqing, China, had spent most of his life working in agriculture. He was used to his sows giving birth to healthy litters, but everything changed when an unusual piglet was born. The piglet's unique characteristic was impossible to ignore. It had 4 extra legs that were much shorter than the primary ones. The other 2 piglets in the same litter showed no congenital defects. Observing the unusual piglet, Tang initially thought it wouldn't survive long. However, time passed, and the piglet thrived. It drank milk from its mother like its siblings and tried to play outdoors, though the extra limbs made its movements somewhat awkward. When it became clear that the piglet would survive, the farmer took it to a veterinarian, who diagnosed the condition as polymelia. Initially, Tang thought the extra legs might have been part of an undeveloped twin. The veterinarian explained that animals with polymelia can live long lives, but recommended surgery to remove the additional limbs. Tang wanted to help the piglet, which people started calling the octopus, but he couldn't afford the surgery. Instead, he decided to care for it with love and attention. Over time, this approach proved successful, and the piglet lived a happy life despite its disability. 14. A new species of Tyrannosaurus. Canadian farmer John DeGroot has been passionate about paleontology for more than a decade. He often said his dream since childhood was to find dinosaur remains. But he never imagined that not only would he fulfill this dream, but he would also discover an entirely new species of these ancient creatures. In 2020, while walking through the mountains, John spotted a strange object protruding from the ground. Upon closer inspection, he realized it was a gigantic bone that could belong to a dinosaur. Shocked by his discovery, he immediately reported it to Canadian paleontologists. During the excavation, John's suspicions were confirmed. He had indeed found dinosaur remains, just as he had always dreamed. Moreover, after studying a fragment of the ancient creature's skull, scientists concluded it belonged to a previously unknown species of Tyrannosaurus. They named it Thanatothyristes degrutorum. The first part of the name references the Greek god of death and means reaper of death. The second part honors the farmer who discovered the bones. According to scientists, the reaper of death reached a length of 40 feet and weighed more than 4,000 pounds. It lived in North America around 80 million years ago. 15. Ancient Egyptian tablet. In 2021, a farmer living about 60 miles northeast of Cairo was preparing his land for the upcoming planting season when he made a sensational discovery. A stone tablet measuring 7.5 feet long, 3.3 feet wide, and 18 inches thick. The tablet was inscribed with ancient Egyptian hieroglyphs. As soon as the farmer realized the value of his find, he reported it to the police department responsible for tourism and archaeological matters. Specialists examined the stone and confirmed its great antiquity. At the top was a depiction of a winged solar disk, a symbol associated with the sun god Ra. Just below it appeared the symbol of Pharaoh Apis, along with 15 lines of hieroglyphs. This discovery led experts to believe the tablet was part of a monument erected by Pharaoh Apis, also known as Wahibre Habre, who ruled during Egypt's 26th dynasty between 589 and 567 BCE. Currently, scientists are working to decipher the text on the stone. According to Mostafa Waziri, Secretary General of the Supreme Council of Antiquities, a significant portion of the inscriptions has already been translated. Initial studies suggest the text details Apries' military campaign in the east. Greek historian Herodotus mentions that Apries lost the war against the Phoenicians, which led to uprisings in Egypt and ultimately to his death. The inscriptions on the tablet may provide new information about these historical events. 16. Remains of an impressive dinosaur. In 2014, a farmer from Hebei Province, China, discovered fossilized remains of an unusual dinosaur on his land. When the bones were sent to a laboratory for further study, scientists worldwide showed great interest. Eventually, a team of American and Chinese paleontologists, led by Julia Clark and Dongyu Hu, undertook the study of the ancient creature. The scientists determined that this previously unknown dinosaur species lived approximately 161 million years ago and had iridescent feathers. These feathers contained melanosomes filled with pigments that reflected rainbow-like colors, similar to modern hummingbirds. The dinosaur also had a crest on its face resembling a bird's beak, although it lacked the keratin-covering characteristic of modern birds. Another surprising feature was its tail, adorned with asymmetrical flight feathers, an essential trait for modern bird flight. However, it's unlikely this dinosaur flew like today's birds. Instead, it may have used its tail to jump between trees and cover greater distances. Because of these exceptional characteristics, the paleontologists named the species Kai Hong Juji, which translates to rainbow with a crest. The remains of this species had never been found before, making this Chinese farmer's discovery a sensational event in paleontology. 17. Ancient spider. In 2016, a Chinese farmer named Li Wenhua was working in his orange orchard as usual. At one point, he noticed a strange object on the ground that resembled an ancient seal. Excited by the possibility of having found something valuable, the farmer decided to dig it out. After carefully clearing the soil around the supposed seal, he discovered that it was actually attached to the body of a spider. Li had never seen a spider like this before. He was also surprised that it remained completely still while he unearthed it. For this reason, he decided to take his discovery home. After some time, the spider came to life, prompting the farmer to release it back into the wild. Later, it was revealed that he had discovered one of the oldest specimens of a spider species known as Cyclocosmia, a type of trapdoor spider. This species has a unique abdomen ending in a disc that truly resembles a seal. When threatened, the Cyclocosmia quickly burrows into its hole and blocks the entrance with its disc-shaped abdomen, earning it the nickname trapdoor spider. The ancestors of Cyclocosmia appeared on Earth about 100 million years ago. Unlike most spiders from that era, they have survived to the present day. These spiders can be found in the southern United States, Thailand, and China. 18. Mastodon skull of the Pyrenees. The mastodon of the Pyrenees, an ancient ancestor of modern elephants, was long considered a legendary creature. However, in 2018, a farmer from the French town of L'Isle-en-Dodon reported to the Toulouse Natural History Museum that he had discovered the skull of an ancient animal on his land. It was later revealed that the skull had been discovered in 2014, but the farmer had refrained from reporting it to avoid his land being turned into an archaeological site. For unknown reasons, he finally decided to reveal his secret after 4 years. Following excavations on the farmer's property, archaeologists and paleontologists successfully unearthed the giant skull. Measuring 5 feet long, the skull is approximately 12 million years old. Studies confirmed that it belonged to a Pyrenean mastodon. The discovery was astonishing, as it is the first and only complete skull of this ancient elephant ancestor. Many paleontologists had spent decades trying to find evidence of the Pyrenean mastodon, but their efforts were in vain until this French farmer accidentally uncovered these unique fossils on his land. 19. Double egg. Sometimes, when cracking a chicken egg, you may find 2 yolks. This anomaly is no longer particularly surprising. However, a chicken egg discovered by a farmer in China left everyone astonished. The farmer explained that while checking his hen's nests, he noticed an egg much larger than the others. Naturally curious, he wanted to see what was inside. Fortunately, he decided to record the process with his phone camera. Otherwise, no one would have believed him. The video clearly shows the farmer taking the enormous egg and cracking it. The normal contents of any egg white and yolk, came out first. But then, inside the shell, there was a second, normal-sized egg. The farmer admitted that, despite having lived on a farm his entire life, he had never seen anything like this. Some viewers of the video thought it was a hoax, but biologists explained that while rare, this anomaly can occur. It happens when a second egg begins forming inside the hen too early, before the first egg has been laid. 20. Tunnel of an ancient sloth. Modern sloths are known for being very slow animals that barely move. They spend most of their time in trees and rarely come down to the ground. However, their ancestors lived primarily on the ground, in large groups, grazing on grass and fresh leaves and building their homes underground by digging enormous tunnels. In 2024, a Brazilian farmer was out working on his plantation with his tractor, like any other day. However, after some time, both he and the tractor fell into a giant tunnel over 6 feet deep. The man had to be hospitalized. Upon investigating the incident, it became clear that the hole was a tunnel excavated by a giant sloth, a mylodon that lived there more than 10,000 years ago. This was evident from the large claw marks on the walls of the tunnel. Mylodons were enormous herbivores, reaching up to 11 feet in length and weighing around 2 tons. Like modern sloths, they inhabited the rainforests of South America and fed mainly on grasses. Scientists believe their extinction was caused by climate changes and the arrival of the first humans in the Americas, who hunted them. 21. Ancient Roman Tomb. In 2023, a farmer from the village of Nova Varbovka in Bulgaria discovered 2 large ancient burial sites while plowing his land. He immediately reported his findings to archaeologists, who began excavations the following day. The urgency was due to the fact that this region had once been the Roman province of Moesia, and researchers hoped to find valuable artifacts there. Their expectations were met. During the excavation, it was revealed that the tombs, built with bricks and covered with large limestone slabs, belonged to an ancient Roman family. The larger tomb was about 10 feet long and contained the remains of 2 adults, a man and a woman, aged between 50 and 60 at the time of their deaths. Alongside the remains, several treasures, coins, and ceramic and glass vessels were found. The second tomb was much older and contained the remains of a child who died at the age of 2 or 3, along with a rare bronze medallion depicting the visit of Roman Emperor Caracalla to Pergamon in 214 CE. Scholars believe that this artifact suggests the family had origins in Asia Minor, which is unsurprising, as people from Asia Minor made up a significant portion of the population and settlements in the region during the Roman era. Although archaeologists had been excavating in this area for years, this discovery made by an ordinary Bulgarian farmer was the first of such magnitude. And that's all for now. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.